There's a lot that we don't talk about, sometimes due to embarrassment, fear, insecurities. We neglect discussions about the most common parts of our lives, things we all deal with, sometimes every day. But on the Caffeinated Gypsy podcast, together, we'll break all of those taboos and talk open and honest about shared experiences. Knowledgeable people relating things you felt but never put into words. Parenting, sex, fitness, energy, anything to connect you to your authentic self, unfiltered. Now, the Caffeinated Gypsy herself, a free spirit, world traveler with a passion for fitness and exploring topics that others might avoid. Hello and welcome to the Caffeinated Gypsy podcast. I'm Stephanie Cotton, your host. Thank y'all for being with me today. I'm excited. We're going to talk astro today. I feel like I haven't done like an astro podcast in a little bit. So I'm excited. We're in Virgo season now. So we're going to talk all about Virgo. And we're also going to talk about Uranus, which went retrograde last week. And I haven't really had the opportunity to like sit down and put everything together. So I'm going to do it all together because they actually work really well together. And I feel like it's just fitting. So we're going to talk all astro today. Let's do some updates. On a personal note, my life is crazy. Kids start traditional school on Monday. And if you don't know, my kids have homeschooled for the last 4 years and they're going to traditional school on Monday. So that's like a really big deal, like in our family. I'm sure there's people at home that are like, okay, Stephanie, like my kid's been going to school for however long. And I've had my son went to school up to, so we started homeschooling him in 6th grade. And now he's going into 10th grade. So we've done like the traditional school with him. And then we homeschooled all of them. So now I've got a 2nd grader and a 4th grader and a 10th grader, and they're all going to be in public school. So that's been a little crazy in my house. And then just dealing with all of, the anxiety that everybody has on both ends. But we're all really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really good change for everybody. And, just putting all the good vibes out there that everything goes really smoothly. So send lots of good energy for the kiddos on Monday and for me, because I'm probably going to be a basket case as I drop them off. There's just this like really weird feeling to me. And I know like when my son was in school, I can remember feeling this way when I took him to kindergarten. And I was like, man, this is really strange that people just drop their kids off with strangers that you know nothing about. And you just like leave them. And I can remember like a week into it and he was like, Mom, I want to walk by myself. And I was like, are you serious? Like, and there's all these people walking in the school and I'm just looking around like, these people are strangers. I don't even know these people. And I know we do this every day. Like people do this. And I'm like, Stephanie, get your shit together. People do this every single day. It'll be fine. But when you've had them home with you for, especially my girls, like they've never been in public school. So it's a weird feeling to just be like, okay, we're going to set you free. But they're all really excited. So I think it's going to be a good thing. So if I'm quiet on Monday or I'm not 100% myself on my Instagram stories, that's why, because I'm maybe a little bit of a basket case. So we got that going on. Coffee is releasing on August 30th, which is actually a week from today. Holy moly. And I'm super excited, but it's also been crazy. You don't even realize the things like that go into some of the stuff until you're like in it. And I thought I was going to be prepared, and I do feel like somewhat prepared, but it's just logistically with any type of business stuff, all the things that like the little things that start to come up and you're like, oh my God, I didn't think about that. Or, oh my goodness, I got to do that. So I've been trying to like keep myself like calm and collected through all of this, but I'm so excited to share this with you guys. If you're brand new to the podcast, please go back and listen to my episode on the actual coffee because I explain the whole process. This is something that's kind of new, guys. I think it's kind of scary. It's a little Yeah, scary is a good word. Because my coffee is really, I take it really seriously, and it's a really good coffee. I'm not throwing out just some random product, so I want to be taken seriously in the coffee world. But I know there's going to be people being like, "You're doing what with the coffee?" So that's kind of crazy. On a plus with all of that, we have a new roasting system that my husband has designed. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details, but I roast in really small batches. But obviously, to do anything on this level, it needs to be a little bit bigger. So it's still going to be small batches, but we need to be able to roast more than a pound at a time, which is what I've been doing. So my husband has designed a new roaster. I'm really excited. And we're also in the process of getting a traditional roaster. I think we're going to be getting an antique French roaster, which is really fucking cool. And so we're going to be doing a ritual blend coffee with that roaster. So anyways, lots of cool coffee stuff coming up. If you don't like coffee, you should probably not listen to my podcast because I talk about it a lot. I can't help it. A lot of people have reached out to me about tea. I love tea. I actually used to sell tea, and if you've looked at any of my stuff, I'm a hoarder of herbs and tea. So it is coming. It's just a little bit more complicated with tea. There's a lot of, I always view tea as medicine. So, I mean, I could definitely do like some normal just black tea blends and stuff, but I'm complicated, y'all. So it's coming. It'll probably be next year before we do any type of tea release. But definitely when I was doing tea before, it was very similar, like being charged with crystals and stuff like that. So it is coming for all my tea lovers. I have not forgot about you. But right now we're doing the coffee. And at some point we're going to do a decaf blend. It's just going to be a little bit down the road. So if you love the taste of coffee but can't handle caffeine, I feel ya. It's coming. It's just when we order stuff, you guys, I have to order in 65-pound like quantities. So I have to have enough revenue coming in to justify ordering 65 pounds of coffee, which is fine for regular coffee, but to do like a decaf coffee, I have to have enough interest so the beans aren't just sitting there. So if you're like, I want to get coffee, but I don't do caffeine, please message me, because if I can get enough people that want to do a decaf blend, I will definitely order it. I just have to be able to financially justify it. So, all the silly business stuff, because everything with coffee is in bulk. It's kind of crazy. I was looking at bags the other day and I was like, I want you to order like a crazy amount. And I was like, that's craziness. But at any rate, I've spent way too much time talking about coffee. Okay, moving on. Everything's on the website. It'll be live. You can order straight from the website. Definitely still doing past life regressions. I did a really cool one last weekend. So if you want to do past life regression, or you want to do your natal chart, especially as we're coming in towards, can you believe we're hitting the end of the year already? Like, holy cow. So if you're like, oh, I want to do a chart for next year, I do transit charts. Or if you haven't had your natal chart done yet and you just want to see like who you are astrologically, end of the year is always a good time because it kind of gives you some tools to work with yourself for the beginning of the year. Okay, I think that's everything. Let's talk astro. Where to begin, right? So let's just start with Virgo. So today we move into Virgo energy. If you follow my Instagram, you might have seen my post this morning. So I do a caffeinated Cosmo update. I try to do it every day during the week. I usually take the weekends off. So if you are new to the podcast and you don't follow me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram, Caffeinated Gypsy, because I try to post something every morning for you guys during the week, just to kind of give you like a heads up. So here's what I do, guys. So I know I do astrology a little different than a lot of people. I go and pull up the chart of the day and I look at the aspects. And so when I look at astrology, I usually try to look at the aspects that are going to affect you. So that's where I feel like I'm a little different from maybe some other people. I try not to do super generalized astrology. Obviously, everybody's going to be affected very differently according to their charts and their placements and all of those things. I don't know. For me personally, I feel like, yeah, the sun in Virgo, absolutely, it affects us. But a lot of times what we're feeling on the day-to-day is those aspects. So like yesterday I had posted that the moon was squared with Mercury. And that only lasts for a couple days. But if that placement can have you feeling like very emotional and has you speaking emotionally. So I try to post things that I think will help you in your day-to-day, like, hey, Moon and Mercury squared up today. Not a good day to have a conversation with somebody. Maybe wait for a couple more days. So if you don't follow my Instagram, do that. Also, if you are interested in the Patreon, so you can join the Caffeinated Gypsy tribe. And I try to post several videos a week in there, just doing like an update of like, hey, this is what's going on, tips. So if you're ever like wanting to just gather more information for yourself astrologically, those are also available to you. But I had posted about Virgo and I was like, Virgo to me, especially when you first come into it, is like being on a long vacation and having to go to work on Monday, or like you had like the weekend and you were like partying all weekend and then you have to go to work on Monday. You're kind of like disoriented. You're like, oh, it's like back to reality. But then in another way, you're kind of like, okay, I'm ready to get back to work. I'm ready for some structure, but it just feels a little bit like discombobulated. You feel a little out of it, because that's what Leo is. Fiery, fun, social. It's like the party for the zodiacs. And then you come into Virgo, which is very much, it's ruled by Mercury. So it's very serious. Let's get to work. Let's get things in order. Let's sort everything out. And so coming into this energy can feel a little bit like, I want this. I need to get things in order, but also like, whew, this is kind of like, I don't know how great this feels right now. So that's where we're at, especially like right now. We literally just moved into this. We're like at 0 degrees at this very moment. So depending on when you listen to this, we're still going to be early on in Virgo. So things to think about with Virgo season. Let's just talk about the characteristics of Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. And as we've talked about a ton, Mercury is one of those signs that is just very, gets a bad rap. It's a serious energy. It's very grounding, very, serious is the best way to describe it. And Virgo specifically has a lot to do with just duty, especially as far as jobs and health, nutrition. So it's that sign that kind of comes in, and I always say like the mother hen, like, okay, but not in a nurturing way. It's like, okay, you got to do this. You've got to do that. We need to get things together. So if you're a Virgo, or somebody that's a Virgo, they're usually pretty like serious appearing. They're the leaders, they're the hard workers, they're not afraid to grind. They just do what they got to do. Very analytical. They're able to spend long hours like concentrating on things and researching things. They're usually very, very intelligent. I'm married to a Virgo. And it's always really interesting to me to watch him go into Virgo season, because it just heightens his Virgo-ness. Virgos are very internal. So that's the other thing, is they will just hold everything inside. They keep their composure very, very well. So you never really know what's going on with a Virgo. It can be frustrating. So if you take that energy and kind of put it towards yourself, this may have you going very much inside. So we've had a very busy year, especially this past summer, right? Like summer's always busy astrologically. It's not just this year. It's just, we always have eclipses. The planets are always retrograde. We've got a lot of like airy energy and fiery energy. And then we've got all this Cancer energy. It's just a lot to process. So if you think about, we go from Taurus energy, right? That's our spring energy. And we're like feeling ourselves, because Taurus is very much about like beauty and pleasure. And then we move into Gemini, which is this airy energy that's like, hey, let's hang out. Let's communicate. Let's have lots of friends. And we're kind of like all over the place. And then we take this dive into Cancer energy, which is kind of like, boom, okay, I need to focus on my family and my roots and what I'm feeling and all of this, emotional stuff. And then we come out of that and we come in to Leo, which is like, I just want to have fun. I just want to like party, and I want to be around a lot of people. And I always say it kind of feels like we're almost like a little bit manic, right? Especially this year, because Mercury went retrograde in if you remember, we started out in Leo and we had this fiery communication, and then we went back to Cancer. So it felt like we were in Cancer forever this year. So it was very emotional. And so by the time we got back into Leo, we were all like, yes, okay. Like it lightened things up a little bit. But you got to think, we've had these eclipses still, right? So we're still working on a ton of stuff. Lots of stuff has been uncovered this year. Lots and lots of change. So Virgo is really what like kind of pulls us back into reality and goes, okay, let's just take a second here. A lot of stuff has happened. Now let's make sense of all this. And I think that's what Virgo is going to do for us right now, is it's really going to kind of make us level-headed, and it gives us a little bit of dose of practicality. So you're going to start to feel that. You're going to probably start to be like, okay, I need to get things like in order. Especially career-wise. I think it's kind of ironic that kids start school this time of year, because if you think about it, it's actually kind of perfect. You know, we went from all this fiery summer energy, which I always feel really bad for kids that have to go back to school in the summer, because, you know, they're wanting to be playing, they want to be creative, and then we put them in school and they're really under all the structure. But when you move into Virgo season, you're naturally more inclined for structure. You're kind of like, oh, okay, finally, some order. Yes, let's have a bedtime. Yes, let's have this schedule. Let's start eating better. Let's start really thinking about like sleeping good. And I feel like when you're in Leo season, you're just like, I don't care. Let's go have fun. Let's stay up till 12 o'clock. You know what I mean? So always interesting to me when I think about like our system of things in our society of how we do things. You know, it's just interesting to me that kids are going to school Monday and we're in Virgo season. But that's what you're going to start feeling, and it's good because it allows us to start putting things in order. So a really good time if, you know, you want to start things. I know a lot of people, once their kids go back to school, they start thinking about, okay, like what can I do? Like starting projects. I feel like there's this sort of like nesting phase that happens as we move into fall. We start thinking like, okay, what do I need to do? You know, if you look at just from, what is the word I'm looking for? Historically, like fall is when we start harvesting things. So in our life, we start kind of harvesting like, okay, what things do I have in place? What do I want to get done? The end of the year is coming. What do I need to do to sort of prep for winter? And even though, you know, most of us don't live in a society where we're like literally, you know, we're not in Alaska having to prep for winter, but we do start prepping because we're like, okay, like these are things I can't do in the winter. So I want to get them done now. We naturally start to kind of slow down our energy. So that's what we're saying now is Virgo energy is slow, very slow compared to Leo. In fact, if you are in a relationship with a Virgo and you're, you know, maybe a fire sign or an air sign, it can be very frustrating. I'm an air sign, and I have a lot of fire in my chart. So I get really frustrated with Virgo energy, but I also know it's really, really good for me. My husband and me were just having this conversation the other night because he's very slow to make decisions and I'm very like quick. And we were talking about like, is it good or is it bad? He's like, I don't know. He's like, you know, sometimes I'm too slow and I miss out, and I'm like, and sometimes I'm too fast and I just jump the gun on things. I don't like to wait. And sometimes that works out in my benefit and sometimes it bites me in the ass, and vice versa for him. So for us, in a relationship standpoint, hold on. I'm still drinking my coffee. It is good. I'm going to say the word's good, but it's definitely challenging, but we've kind of found our balance. Mind you, it's taken us like 21 years. We're celebrating our 21 years together this month, and it's taken us this long to really just understand each other. So if you're, you know, in a relationship with anybody that's ruled by Mercury, but especially a Virgo, and you're a fire sign or maybe an air sign, it takes time. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Keep working at it. It can work. If anybody tells you it can't, they're crazy. It can work. It's just a lot of like work and understanding each other. And so now the way I use this is I'm like, okay, I know that I'm a little bit impulsive. So I go to him and I'm like, okay, what do you think about this? And he'll mull it over. Like a perfect example is my coffee roaster. Like I was like, this is the one I'm going to do. Like I had decided in 30 minutes and he was like, okay, let's look at this. And he looks at everything, right? Because Virgos dig. Also, Virgos are hella secretive. So just so you guys know, Virgos will dig and they'll research and they'll like look people up and all kinds of stuff. So my husband's great at research. So anytime I like want to know something, I ask him. And so like with the coffee stuff, it took him weeks, y'all, weeks. And then he came back with the perfect solution. But in situations like that, it's really beneficial. If there's something I just really want to do, I don't even ask him. I just do it. And then I'm like, hey, by the way, I did this. And he just is like, oh my gosh. Because that's, that's the nature of a Virgo. So my Virgo people, I respect y'all so much because you have so much fucking self-control. And I'm like, let's just do it. I don't want to wait. So that's what you're going to be feeling though. So I'm personally feeling that. So you're probably starting to kind of feel that energy. I started getting things like organized. I'm feeling like structured. I'm like, okay, we need to do this. We need a plan. I'm already kind of a planner anyways, but moving into Virgo season definitely makes me more of a planner. Other things you're going to start to notice in Virgo season is Virgo rules like your gut area. So you're probably going to start to feel things more like in your gut. Virgos are notorious for having stomach problems, especially digestive issues. When they are under stress, they will have tummy problems for sure. So a lot of times during Virgo season, we become very internal, especially right now because we're processing a shit ton of stuff, you guys. It's crazy. We're about to talk about Uranus in retrograde. So as you're going through all this stuff, you're going to start to notice it does affect your health. And, Virgo is the planet that actually rules like health and like taking care of yourself. So if you're getting these feelings, these intuitive feelings of like, man, I need to clean up my diet, or man, I need to start exercising, listen to that because that's that Virgo energy really trying to help you out. If you start noticing like tummy issues, especially, it's probably because you're internalizing a lot of the stuff that you're going through right now. As Virgos, if you're a Virgo, it's really good for you to have some sort of outlet because Virgos do not talk about their problems. They are very much the ones that kind of take everything on and they take care of everybody around them before themselves. They'll work long, long hours. They will give and give and give of themselves. So if you're a Virgo, take this opportunity to reflect on yourself and see how you can better take care of yourself. Being of service is super important to a Virgo. So you may start to feel that like you just need to be of service right now, like doing something to help people in particularly. So get ready. We're in Virgo season. You're going to start to definitely notice some changes. We're moving into fall. Like Virgo is that mutable sign that takes us from season to season. So we're going to be moving into a much slower energy. This really preps us for Libra season, which is going to be coming up next, where we're going to be, a little bit more relationship oriented, definitely slowing down even more with Libra. So yeah, Virgo's a good season. And let's talk how this all ties into Uranus retrograde. So Uranus went retrograde last week. And just a reminder, I know I talk about retrogrades all the time like this, but there's no such thing as bad with retrogrades. All that's happened is the planet has slowed down. So as the planet slows down, it appears to go backwards, but it's just slowing down and it slows that energy down. So Uranus is one of those planets that's way, way out there and it doesn't affect us on the same level that like say Mercury would. Okay. We're really working with this on more of like a subconscious level, a large scale level, like globally, consciously, those sorts of things. We're definitely going to notice it. It's not that we're not going to notice it. It's just not going to be as like obvious as like say Mercury in retrograde where like people are like, talking out their ass or sending shitty emails on accident, those kinds of things. What we're going to really start to notice is a slow breakdown in things. So Uranus is change. It's the rebel. It is independence. It's eccentric. It's very rapid change, but it's not going to be... It can happen overnight, absolutely. But a lot of times it's more on like, we see it on a global scale. It absolutely can happen in your life, but usually we see this on a much bigger scale. So what we're really going to start to see over the next, 6 months? It's like 6 months. So we stay retrograde until January 10th. So it's a while. And this happens, you guys, it happens. These happen all the time. So this isn't something to be fearful of. It's not something to freak out about. It gives us the opportunity to, once again, reflect. The energy slows down, so we have a little bit more of a concentration. Uranus is already a really slow planet anyways. So what we're going to be seeing is we've had a lot of stuff coming up, right? We've been processing all kinds of stuff. We've got Pluto retrograde still, Saturn still retrograde. And we've been uncovering. So what Uranus is going to do is allow these changes to happen. It's really going to start to have us questioning a lot of the systems that we have in place, like just in our life, in society. When Uranus is really what rules like our financial system. So I think we're going to start to see a breakdown in how our financial system is working. We've already been seeing this, right? Like we're all starting to really question. We've been questioning the banking system. We've been questioning currency. Like all of these things have been happening. No surprise, we're going into an election year in the United States. So that's going to be a whole nightmare of a thing. And so with that, we're going to see a lot happening. I think we're going to start to see a lot of changes, just society from our, like how we are viewing things. Definitely this has a big part in like how we're viewing our environment. And I think, as our generations are, coming, like how our kids and how we're coming up, we're all very socially conscious compared to like some of the older generations. They just didn't know any better. So now we're definitely taking a step back and being like, we have to treat our environment good. If you haven't seen, there's so much going on with the rainforest right now, in the Amazon. And we really have to just start like taking care of our earth because we're not going to have anything left. We're literally destroying it. And so I think we're going to start to see a huge shift over these next 6 months of maybe even things being put into place as far as policy and people taking like action and things like that. So that's what Uranus does. In our personal life, we really start to question things that have been put into place. And so we started to do this over the summer, especially as far as like family things, right? We started to question like our ideas, our beliefs, and now we're really going to start to see that shift. We're really starting to get this sense of like, this is not working for me anymore. Like, this is not who I am. Uranus is chilling out with Taurus right now. So it's really making us look at things from a practical standpoint. Like, how can I make these changes in a very practical way? How can I be innovative in how I want to change things? So we're starting to see this in people. What I think is really cool is people are starting to really be more innovative in like who they are as people and what they want to do with their lives. And we're no longer inside this box, right? We're able to step outside of it. And that's what Uranus really does. It's like, fuck that box. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pave my own way. And so I think for the next 6 months, we're going to see even more of this. We're going to see people being a little bit more rebellious. I, for one, think it's really exciting. You're going to start to see a lot more change, and you're going to feel that need to change. Like, this is about breaking things up. This is about changing patterns. This is about breaking karmic ties. So I've been talking a lot about this even just in past life work with people, is like, we have to go back and see like where these patterns started, because now we're feeling this need to break free of things that we've been carrying with us for lifetimes. And these family patterns that have been passed down ancestral. Like, I talked about this last month. I had this epiphany of some of the ancestral patterns in my life. And now I'm really like taking a step back going, okay, like how do I change this? How do I change like my core self, my energetic vibration, so that I can not repeat these things, so that my daughters don't repeat these things? And how do I help people on like a very large scale? So there's a lot of stuff happening with this Uranus, right? It's also, it can feel a little bit jarring because this change, this shift happens rather quickly. And it's not like we're like seeing it, but we're feeling it, right? So your nervous system kind of takes a beating from this. My empathic people, y'all are feeling it, right? I've seen so many people like post lately about just feeling like, oh, they're going into places and they're feeling like super ran down, or they're like just energetically being drained. That's what happens. Like, we're shifting as a society and we can feel it. We're shifting as people. Like, when your soul shifts, like, it kind of jars everything. It shakes everything up a little bit. So empathic people are already super, super sensitive. So you've got to take extra good care of yourself. Change is necessary, but change also comes with some heartache. It also comes with exhaustion. If you've ever tried to like change something, like I like to use like this analogy of painting your house. Like, you want to change the color of your house, right? It's a lot of work. It's worth it. Right? If you want to paint your house, like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome afterwards. But while you're doing it, oh my gosh, it's so much work. It's exhausting. Even just picking out the color can be exhausting, because you have to think about, am I going to love this in 10 years or whatever? It's the same thing with yourself. Now imagine your soul that's been carrying something around for lifetimes. Now all of a sudden we're shifting, right? Even if it's for the best, it's tiring. So you may start to feel really, really drained. We've had a busy ass summer. We've done so much work. So your soul energetically is going to feel a little ran down. So take care of yourself. This is where it's so important that you're doing things to nourish your soul, however that is. I talk about meditation all the time, and I really truly believe meditation is super key for this. So find your way to meditate. Guys, it doesn't have to be that you're sitting for 30 minutes in, lotus position. Maybe you're going for a walk. Maybe you're gardening, maybe you're drawing, maybe you're doing pottery, whatever you need to do to like feed your soul, do that. Put yourself around people that are going to lift your soul up. Listen to uplifting music. Do something to move your body. Do something to just really nourish your soul. Read a really good book, something that you are the only one that knows those things that are going to nourish your soul, but do those things. One of the things I've been doing for the past month is crystal elixirs. I can't tell you guys like how fucking awesome these things are. And so I've been working with crystals that help soothe my nervous system. I knew that going into this month, it was going to be a little bit rough. So I started a month ago. I was like, nope, we're going to do this. So I've been putting crystal elixirs in my water and my coffee every day. So I like to do everything I can to really like nourish my soul, but prep my soul. If I know something's coming up, I do those things. So start thinking ahead, like, hey, I know, like, for my teachers out there, school's starting, start doing things ahead of time to really nourish your soul, so that when you get in those environments where you're full of people and your soul's already working overtime, you're not quite so taxed. And definitely, guys, every night, dump your chakras, like dump your energy field. I literally go through each chakra and I think about, okay, I'm consciously releasing everything I've been carrying with me, and I'm letting go of everybody else's energy. This is also a really good practice to do before you come in your house. You can do this like outside your door. It doesn't have to be long, but be like, okay, I'm letting go of everybody's energy before I come into my sanctuary. So definitely stuff you need to be thinking about while we're in this period, because it's a lot. Uranus can be really taxing on your nervous system. We're working on a very deep energy level of our soul as things are shifting, and it's going to be a lot, but it's totally going to be worth it. So another thing that you can look at for yourself is, where does Uranus sit in your personal natal chart? So if you look at your chart, you should see what sign it sits in and also what house it sits in. So for me, mine actually sits in Scorpio, sorry. So my Uranus is in Scorpio, and it's also in the 11th house, which is ruled by Aquarius. So I know that I'm going to have a big concentration in my life with that Aquarius energy, like group gatherings, working with the collective, which has been a theme in my whole entire life. I feel this deep need to work with large groups of people. With that Scorpio aspect, I know then I'm also going to be looking at change on some of those like darker levels. Like, how do I help make change in the world for people who are maybe working with their own sexuality, or maybe, you know, some of the darker issues, which is why I do past life regression, which is why I help people kind of delve into that underlying current of things that maybe they haven't been dealing with. So I know for me personally that shifts my work, and that's what I've been feeling is this big push towards like making sure I'm helping, supporting people, because everything in my life is about helping and supporting people. So look at your own chart and see, where does your Uranus sit? What sign, what zodiac does it sit in? And what house does it sit in? And then you can start to look, okay, like, how does this affect me? Like, how am I going to feel this? So for me personally, I'm feeling this in how I'm working with people, and I'm feeling like, you know, that Scorpio aspect for me definitely gives it like that, you know, undercurrent of a little bit of darkness. So definitely working with the shadowy parts even in myself as this is shifting. It's really helping me personally to be like, okay, I need to deal with some of the stuff that is my darker aspect. So look at that for yourself. If you haven't had your chart done and you want me to look at it for you, feel free to let me know. But yeah, that's what we got going on right now, guys. I know it's a lot of work. It's always a lot of work though. I feel like that's just life, and there's nothing, it's not bad. I feel like we get really caught up in the good and bad of all this, and it's not that it's good or bad. It's just a lot of work. But it'll definitely all be worth it. And it's putting us that much closer to what we're supposed to be doing. So I think it's going to be good. And my Virgo people, take care of yourself, please. I love my Virgos, and you guys will run yourselves into the ground. So please take care of yourself this Virgo season. And I think that's it for today, G. That's it. Yeah. If you want to find out anything else, if you are interested in getting your natal chart, you can always go to caffeinatedgypsy.com, or you can find me on Instagram, caffeinatedgypsy. And oh yeah, before we leave, this is episode 99, y'all. So the next one is 100. I got something special planned for you guys. I'm doing a little bit of a giveaway for episode 100. If you didn't listen to my last one, this is going to be a contest or giveaway. I don't know what you want to call it. But it's only for podcast listeners. I'm not going to share the contest or giveaway, whatever you want to fucking call it, on Instagram. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you guys instructions on the next podcast. So make sure you listen. And I'm not going to post the actual information on Instagram, so you have to listen to the podcast. And I am really excited about it. So listen to the next one. It's going to be coming out very, very soon. And have a great rest of your day. And thank you for listening. Until the next one.